All right, interweb land, I'm back. Rosco Odyssey, walk and talk. Today is Wednesday, November 27th, 2024, or 2024. All right, so for today, I got something lined up a little different. I watch a lot of different YouTube content and whatnot, and I came across some content. It's going to be kind of general, but you'll get the point. There's just a couple concepts within the concept that I want to try to. I didn't agree with, and some that I did agree with, and I want to put it and try to frame it up. I'm not trying to be slanderous or critical, or I'm just giving a kind of my interpretation of the content, so to speak. The voices in the content are very familiar, and one of the producers is very familiar. So the voice for the content is a pretty famous podcaster that's out there that sat down with a soon-to-be presidential Trumpster. And then the other content creator that was noted on there is fairly popular. His name is like a psychological person. JP. Let's just call him JP. And in the video was really, they do the video content creators do a nice job with the graphics. It's more like an infographic, and within the infographic they talked about the concepts of sort of an interpretation of maybe like a Darwinian type thing, where people evolved from primates and whatnot. And just to kind of keep it brief, it was commenting to the fact that the primordial evolution was more accidental and a result of accidental use of things that alter the mind. So with that said, just to kind of set up the backdrop for my story interpretation of this, they made some points. They did use an adult orientated graphic in there. It wasn't like graphic, but it was more like an info. It was a male and a female with the urge to merge, okay? If I can put it to that way. But it was just a small portion of the whole thing. It wasn't even nothing major. So I don't know the necessity of all that, but it was in there. The other portion of the content said that, and I tend to agree with this, that the things they were talking about versus the way folks are possibly treated with medication now compared to like natural type medications. They focused on what's called psychedelics. And they wanted to just point out that there is a potential for the use of that to help people and not harm them. So I just kind of want to give credit to that, because there's I don't know enough about that subject matter to even begin to make a real factual statement on it. But I just want to share that so you have a brief backdrop of the infographic that they put out. So with that said, I'm going to try and put my interpretation to it, and the way I see it in relations to how what I agree with and what I don't agree with. I'm not going to really say I don't know where our overall origination is from. I'm not even going to try and tackle that idea. I'm gonna try and address the idea of how we possibly learn and or kind of grow in learning. And my character setups is gonna be, y'all remember Captain Caveman? This little character, cartoon character. It was like a caveman dude with long hair, and he had a big stick. He just rolled around, and he was like a superhero character guy, and he did the thing with the bad guys and stuff. Anyway, my character setups are gonna be Rosco the Caveman and Bear, and the way I think things, and this is kind of, I'm trying to amalgamate my caricatures and real life experience here. So the way I would relate it is how it really works when you're developing a solution, or your problem, you're trying to problem solve, or you're thinking through something, or you need something to kind of help you out that you don't have, but you don't know until you get there, type of thing. So we're gonna start this off with little Rosco the Caveman. One day, little Rosco the Caveman is out there, and he sees a bear, and he says, let me see, what does this bear do? He watches and observes. He says, bear eats fish from the river. Rosco the Caveman eats fish from the river. The only thing is, Rosco the Caveman wasn't really good at catching the fish, so that didn't work. But he says, what else does the bear do? And he says, the bear eats berries. Rosco the Caveman eats berries. The bear eats honey. Rosco the Caveman eats honey. So after watching the bear do his thing, Rosco the Caveman gathers his knowledge, and he goes back to his other cave friends, and he says, hey, whatever we're eating, we don't have to just eat that. We could eat berries and honey. And they say, oh, who let little Rosco the Caveman out? We're not gonna go out there and pick the berries and the honey, because the bears, they run the show out there. He says, well, never fear. You don't have to fear the bears. They won't mess with you. Just don't mess with them. They say, nah, little Rosco the Caveman, that's not gonna work. And then Rosco the Caveman says, okay, well, I got this idea, and we could eat fish. And then Rosco the Caveman's uncle stops him and says, little Rosco the Caveman, hang on, I got something I want to show you. So Rosco the Caveman's uncle shows him something that he thought of. The uncle, when he was little, he thought of something, an idea. He had an idea similar to Rosco the Caveman, little Rosco the Caveman. And that idea, he showed him, and Rosco the Caveman saw it. And he called it the rod of catchment. The rod of catchment. And little Rosco the Caveman says, you made this, uncle? And he says, yeah. It's made of bamboo, and I have a little reel on it, and the string on it is mint leaf, And I think it'll work, but I never used it, because when I showed it to people, they made fun of me. They thought I was silly. They said, we've been eating the way we eat for hundreds of millions of thousands of years, and a day, so to speak. What do you know? So little Rosco the Caveman says, thanks, uncle. I'm gonna try this out next time I go out to the river and watch the bear eat fish. I'm gonna try this rod and see if maybe a fish, maybe I can catch it. So Rosco the Caveman takes his new rod that his uncle showed him, the rod of catchment, and he goes out to the river, and he's no luck. He's just not having any luck. So he decides to utilize the latest and greatest technological advancements called the web. And he takes a picture, and he puts the picture in an open source forum on the web, so that people could look at what he's trying to do and make suggestions, and and he gets his couple suggestions, he puts it all together, he goes back out on the river and he catches his first fish. He's all, wow, this thing really works. And he starts to catch fish and he brings it back, shares it with people, and people start to think, maybe we can eat fish after all. And so they ponder that and they say, well, it does work. This fish is pretty good compared to the other stuff we're eating. Maybe we could start eating fish now. So Rosco, the caveman, says, okay, but when you go to the river, you're gonna have to just kind of be cool with the bear. Just don't mess with him. He won't mess with you. Be respectful, be mindful, and you can start to have fish too. And then because of that, one day, as time goes on, more and more people are eating better, and and that sort of thing, and they're giving credit to Rosco the caveman. And so with that, one day Rosco the caveman gets a call, and it's the mechanical institutional complex. They call Rosco the caveman with a question, and Rosco the caveman says, well, what's your question? What you got? And they say, well, we developed this thing, it's called Great Fire, and we developed it to protect the people, from the bad guys, and mean bears and stuff, It's like, oh, okay. So that's what you all use. And he said, and then they said, but something's happened. The Great Fire, it's been captured by something, or we're not sure, but they're using it now. They use it against the people. So Rosco the caveman says, well, I read this book, and it's called Bible. And then someone shouts, Babel. No, we don't, it's not, we know about Babel, or the Babylonians. We know about all that. No, it's called Bible. Oh, Bible. Yeah, no, Bible. Yeah, no, we don't read Bible anymore. It's old. It has nothing to do with today. We need something to help us defend ourselves against the Greek fire. So Rosco the caveman goes on to explain, well, in the Bible literature, it says if you are able to put on the armor and bear your shields, then you can withstand. We could possibly use that to withstand the power or the destructive force of the Greek fire. So then, little by little, day by day, more and more people started to read their Bibles. And sure enough, by putting on their armor and bearing their shields, they eventually were able to overcome the destructive forces of the Greek fire. And with that, when they took over, they regained control of the Greek fire. And then once they did that, they said, well, what could we use this for? So they ended up making some schmick lighters so they could start their barbecue grills, and light a fire. All right, folks, so that's the story I have for you today. The story of being willing to observe, share information, read, learn, and work with one another to kind of like benefit from different ideas and information and data, and put it to good use. All right, this one's gonna be Rosco Odyssey story time. Thanks.